Fleetus, what's going on, man?
Welcome. Glad to be
Welcome,
here.
both of us. Yeah, nice. Good to have you here back with us. Another stream, actually, that we've had you on. We've had you in the past now, but good to have you back with us now for Continuum Con.
It's exciting to be here and looking forward to talking about a very important topic that many of us forget about.
Hugely important topic. Hopefully, everyone's interested as well too to learn more about this whole human layer of security, the human threat vector, the human attack surface of the security space. It's pretty big.
Very much so.
So good afternoon, everyone in chat. Looks like a pretty decent viewer count as well too rolling in. So today we have a special talk going over here with Fleetus. So we're actually going to get to know more about him. We haven't actually had a chance to talk more about him and himself and his backstory and why security, and ultimately why he is so interested in the space of the security world with humans, because he loves it. He loves GRC as well too. So I want to get to know more about that, and then we're also going to hear more about his workshop that he's bringing to Continuum Con.
Sounds good. Let's do this.
Let's do this. So we're here on Thursday. Chat, if you have any questions, please go ahead and feel free to drop them over inside as we go. And maybe we can flag a couple as we go through the conversation. But this is an interview. I get the chance now. I'm quite honored to get to know and ask everything that I wanted to ask Fleetus on multiple other occasions live, but now I get to. And hopefully we get to find out more about him as well, too. Ryu Sec. Congrats. Great content. Nice. Cool. Yeah. Thank you.
So the cross-posting's working. That was posted on my channel, so we're doing good here.
Yeah, we're doing well. So just everyone knows, this is a cross-posted stream. We're on Level Effects channels and Fleetus channels as well too. I was looking at that. I was like, what does paired mean? But yeah, yep. Cool.
It came off of my channel, so good to go.
Nice, good. Yeah, so we're trying something new. So Fleetus, yes, good to have you here, man. I've known you for a little bit now, more officially offline, but like I said, I haven't had a chance to really kind of talk to you more in depth about you. So I guess maybe to kind of get started over here, why security even in the first place? What was the itch that got you in this domain?
Great question. Like many of my generation or generations in general, we got a computer when I was young, which I'm not as young as I used to be, but started understanding and asking questions to my father about why do we need a computer? Like, this was in the 90s, to be honest, just to make it a little easier. So early 90s. And I quickly realized, I was like, this is going to be something that we're going to use heavily in the future. So many of us played Oregon Trail and other stuff in school, and these 5 1/4s, for those who don't know, old floppy disk, before 3 1/2s come out. So I installed Windows for the first time. I think it was, I don't remember if it was 3.0 or 95.
Yeah.
And it's like 20 disk. It's like, oh, this can't be the future, but it might be the future. So fast forward a little bit, got through middle school, high school, started introducing STEM. It wasn't called STEM then, so I started taking computer-based classes. Found that this is something I really enjoy. Like, I like getting to know this stuff. So was part of the club, got to do a few things, graduated in the mid-2000s, and immediately decided I wanted to go to college. And I wanted to do something with the business IS, so information systems. So I joined Appalachian State's Computer Information Systems program. While there, my junior year, we had a guest lecturer come in who was getting his MBA, but was running a satellite security team while in Boone. So he hired me as an IDS handler, so intrusion detection system handler. So I first got to play with Gentoo OS, so got to play with Linux real quickly, bringing you back to the old days of DOS, and realized very quickly that there's something to appliances. So that was my first hardware. And then I ran the graphical user interface that we were using, the GUI, to do the intrusion detection work. Learned very quickly, users will do anything and everything on a computer, which leads us into the point of our topic today of why we need to train the human. For a little bit longer, I took an IT audit job or an internship with Wachovia, which is now Wells, which again, I got to see end-to-end systems. So I transferred across the street here in Charlotte, North Carolina, to a regulated utility called Duke Energy, where I did IT service management. Fast forward a little longer, did web app monitoring and electronic document management. While I joined the electronic document management team, I got the itch to put security back in my title. So at that time, I went back and got my master's in information assurance and started networking with the director of security ops. About 6-8 months later, I got to join the Security Operations Center as an analyst engineer and then a complete engineer. helping build out their security operations center. So when I left Duke Energy in 2022, we had about 15 engineers supporting endpoint, cloud, SIEM, SOAR, and all the detonation appliances inside the inspection zone that we had built. Then I moved into a pure management role at CrashPlan, where I led everything but GRC, and then started doing a little bit of GRC before I left them on May 1st. So I've been around the block. I've touched a few things, done a few things, and at the end of the day, it all comes back to protecting you and I. Because security starts from the time we wake up until we time to go to bed, and it's also happening while we're asleep. So we have to be prepared to respond and react both as standard users and employees of a company, as well as the security operations teams and cyber defense, which leads us into why I partner with Level Effect, why I've partnered with many other organizations, because I think it's important to pass that torch and knowledge, because the curse of knowledge that we deal with today, we assume everyone knows what a phish is, what malware is, because we've lived and breathed it for so long that it's common knowledge. So we have a curse of knowledge. We don't know how to be a novice again.
That's true. So it sounds like, I guess, the Oregon Trail, dealing with sickness and danger and risk, getting across the land. Maybe that's what did it, man. Maybe that initial early entry point, getting the caravan going. Maybe that's what kind of spawned your interest in security. I don't know.
It was always an interesting mindset and mind sweep of a day.
Yeah.
Yes, mind sweep in there too.
Nice. Yeah, man, good background, because I know I've chatted with you many times, and it's always been like, yeah, kind of like, let's go, let's do this, let's talk about that. And when we first got on, getting to know one another, like, obviously I read more about you, got to know your background and everything, but I haven't actually got to directly ask you just that and kind of hear like a nice, concise story. So thank you, and I hope everyone in chat got a good background for Flatus over here as well too. So quite a ton of experience, definitely some trends, understanding the human element to all of this, which I think, and it sounds like you think as well, is a very increasingly growing area of risk, more than ever. Like, we keep thinking we're getting under control, but people are still clicking, right? Like, the metrics show us people are still opening up phishing emails, even under test conditions. And now we're entering the AI space as well too. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Like, why do humans continue to be this point of weakness when it comes to security? Because we have a ton of controls.
Yeah, so that's where I get a lot of the questions, answers, and pushback when it comes to you have tools, you have procedures. Why do I need to care?
Yeah,
because I was just, for backstory, I was helping TA a class this morning, which is Intro to Cybersecurity, with a good friend of mine. And we talked about that no one cares about security until they're told to care about security. It's not something you wake up and assume I'm going to be secure today.
Yeah.
Because you don't, it's just not your inclination. You think someone else will protect me. Like, we have laws of the land for that reason. You get in your car, you trust that no one's going to run you off the road because the laws say so. Same goes for when you log into your corporate laptop. You know, because you read the EULA, no, you haven't, that they're monitoring you and that they're protecting you from yourself, for lack of a better term. But when I worked a phishing case many years ago, we ended up calling him Captain Click because he clicked 5 times to infect himself. When we interviewed him after the fact, he's like, you should have stopped it. I had to click 5 times to infect myself. He had a decent point, but at the end of the day,
true.
It's the same analogy. I warned you 4 times. Yeah. So it's both sides of the coin when it comes to that. So most of it, we believe that it's never going to happen to me. I'm a small business. I'm an end user. No one wants my wedding photos or my kids' videos or my recipes or my blog post. But most of that is opportunistic attacks. So educating that they're not really targeting you. They're just looking for a vulnerability that you happen to have. And that can be a human vulnerability that you trust everyone, or a system vulnerability because you start clicking on every link, every ad, and you just assume that your computer's defender, if you're running Windows, is going to stop it.
Yeah, and I guess that's a bit of an inherent problem, right? Because it sounds more like the security that we think we're under control of from a cybersecurity perspective, right? It kind of bleeds out to more than that. It comes out to people just entering the office building, right? Yep. So and this is kind of where this is going, is like that human element to it all. You can have the best firewall in the world, all the server control room protections, software, physical, but then someone gets a call, a very urgent call, and they need your credentials to remote desktop in because the CEO needs access to some data, right? So
yep.
and that takes us to this human domain. So I guess the question I have for you is there really enough, I guess, are there enough security controls in the IT space to really give a good sense of security to this human layer, right? Because there's so many vectors. Do we have enough? Will we have enough?
So it's a yes, it depends, and probably not all
Yeah.
at the same time. So yes, I'm going to protect that asset that you touch it. But at the end of the day, I have a mail gateway that's going to protect most of the email they get to, not all.
Yeah.
I have a firewall, a proxy, or some other web control that's going to limit a lot of the traffic that gets to you or allows you to click and get back out. So that's where it depends comes into play. Most of us today carry a phone in our pocket. I can flip over to it, take pictures, start typing what I see on my corporate asset into it, aka AI, Chat GPT, and start giving it PI or PHI, so personal identifier or personal healthcare information. And now I've just bled and did data loss. And I have an inadvertent insider. Like, not a disgruntled, they're a gruntled, they're still a happy employee. They're just using their laptop, their tablet that's on their desk as well as their corporate. And then it's not likely to ever be there because of those annotations. My smartwatch is listening to me right now. My phone is listening to me right now.
Yeah.
And any other recording device of IoT internet thing that's in my house is listening to me right now.
Yeah.
So I'm inadvertently going to give away a trade secret at some point in time.
Yeah.
Because we've allowed convenience over privacy.
So it's not a matter of if, really, right? Like it is a matter of when. Kind of reminds me, what was it, that app? Was it Strava, I think it was, or something like that?
The military's routes when they were running.
Yeah, when they were practicing, right? So it's things like that. Like if this can happen at the military level, Department of Defense, the best defensive controls, right? If they're still possible to fall victim to these social engineering attacks, or sort of like getting in like from that human element, a small business, even an enterprise organization, it's going to happen. So what would you say, I guess, maybe are like the most like the lowest hanging fruit of security? What can we do from the human side of things?
So this is I'm going to shoot Felita's comment right now, is we tell people to slow down.
Yeah.
It's 2025. We say everything needs to be done right now. It's all instant. Like, we're a microwave culture. You should be able to do this in 30 seconds.
It's true.
So that means you have to circumvent every control every training to get it done. What I advise my family, my friends, my peers, employees of my organization is to sit on your hands, count backwards, do something to calm yourself, to get away from that emotional thing. As someone just put in chat, don't send the email. If you're
don't send it.
Just don't send it if you're angry or whatever you're doing. So it's really slowing down. The second part is helping them understand what they would do on the physical side. So part of my talk that I've given and plan to give is the physical side. How do you know when to open your front door? How do you know not to touch a hot stove? How do you know to tie your shoes? Well, either it's three ways. Someone physically taught you to tie your shoe. Someone burglarized you. They came in your front door. Or you touched the hot stove. So you learn by trial.
Yeah.
So security is the same way. Like, you learn from every incident. So we should tell our end users, we stopped this, and this is what it would have caused. But we thank Sally for calling the help desk, and we thank the help desk analyst, Josh, for reporting it to the SOC. So you give affirmation for reporting things versus just deleting. Because it may not have been one person. It could have went to 12, 13, 14. And if 12 of the 14 report it, I've got a cluster. I probably got probable cause to actually escalate that alert or event before it becomes an event, to be honest.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. So a level of process, policy, really, right? And feedback, and just like really bring it to the forefront. I like that.
We preach people, process, and technology, and you've probably heard, and others have heard me say, I spend millions on technology, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, on process, and I spend hundreds of dollars to $1,000 on people per capita. It's another stat I'll talk about in my thing is, go ask a CISO or CIO or CTO right now, what is your line item for training and security awareness and for whatever? They're going to tell you they don't have one, or they're going to quote their security awareness program or their phishing test, their annual training, or if they have a gamification platform or giveaway. That's going to be their line item.
And they've got a line item for like health and safety and all the other committees, right? But where's the general security awareness training? Yeah, for sure. So, okay, so strong feelings and sentiment towards the human layer. Now, let's I guess kind of talk more about what you're doing. So, you are building a workshop for Continuum Con. So that's something that we're going to be hosting. Level Fact and John Hammond putting this together. Con just about the training. What is this workshop that you're building? Human-centric security, right? So something along those lines?
Yes.
Tell us more.
So the first one we already talked about, I have a basic write a security policy with the human in mind. So that's your first exercise inside the workshop is take a policy you already have and read back through it and see how it will apply with a human lens. That's the first one. The second one, I'm going to give you some scenarios and want you to apply the human piece to that. And then the last part is your challenge is I want you to do a human-centric tabletop. So for those who are technical on this call, when I say tabletop, you don't think about protecting and thinking about people. You think about a backup and recovery, you think about a data breach, you think about a ransomware attack, you think about another cyber event or natural disaster when I say tabletop. Mm-hmm. I want you to reprogram and consider doing a human-centric tabletop where you bring in the CMO, the CFO, the help desk lead, a finance person or someone else, and put them around the table and give them the roles and responsibility of being an end user and getting a phishing email, a drive-by attack, or something else to see how they would respond as an end user. Instead of what a normal table is, how is the IR team or SOC going to respond, or the IT infrastructure team going to respond? Those are the technical responses that we do day in and day out. This will give you insight into what is your security gaps in your organization. If your users don't know to go look at the acceptable use policy or the AI use policy, like they should know to reference. And that's what can come out of these tabletops is you train them that there is a policy, there is a procedure, and they can execute this if and when they get in that situation. So that's kind of what I'm planning to tease out. That's what I'm working through. A lot of it will be walk through it inside the lab and then take it back to your organization. Take it to your family, take it to your friends, and apply that with the lens of what does Anthony actually think about this as an employee of my company, not as Anthony as the CTO or the CIO. Like, what does he think about as the actual employee?
That's cool, man. Yeah, it kind of sounds like a small starter kit, really, right? Like for your security program. As I was hearing you talk about it, I'm like, if I was a SOC analyst that I just got hired, or I was someone that had to stand up or enforce some level of security at a company, and I didn't know what to do or where to start, this is a workshop that I could go to. I've got some immediate takeaways. I can say, okay, well, if I'm not entirely sure where to start, but I've got some direction from this workshop, and we can immediately improve our security from it. That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, I like that.
The mindset is to more or less to do another, and I didn't do it this one, and you could do the challenge, could be another one, is a capture the flag event with human-centric. What does the human first click on? Where do they first go? And that drives them back into your policies, your help desk portal, your SharePoint site if you're a SharePoint, your Confluence if you're a Confluence shop. And teach them where to go fish for information. That could be another challenge that if I had more time could build into this workshop or could do in V2 of this workshop.
I think we're going to have to do that. I mean, when you mentioned a human layer security CTF, right there, like I've never heard of that. I've never heard of anyone actually making CTF around this domain, like this area of risk. It's
that
always around
organizations who are looking for a challenge for their security awareness month. Get people to buy in.
That'd be
say,
cool.
Give a challenge coin away, and your flags are inside of our policies and procedures.
That's actually a good way to get them to actually look at it for the first time.
Is that way they'll bookmark them, they'll know what's there, they may challenge you, they can give you feedback, which is also a slide I have in mind. It's the security culture. I'm going to drive security culture because that's all this comes back to. What is the security culture of an organization? We all know, most of us know that your security team has the branding of the no machine or big brother. I want to change that as I am your peer.
Yeah.
I just happen to have security in my title. Security is what we all do. I just happen to have security in my title as your SecOps manager, your CIO, your CISO, etc.
That's yeah, you know, I mean, if you think about it, right? Like, what is the cost of all these email security controls and the filtering and protection versus someone understanding not to click on it? and understanding like how to highlight the URL and such, right? Like that cultural training probably has a lower footprint in terms of cost, time, and effort, and arguably is a lot cheaper than a lot of fancy technical controls, right?
Yeah. Another thing that I've done previously, and I can't take full credit, was my previous manager, is we did a road show and we brought in people to our SOC. So they got to see the SOC, and then they took them into the big war room we had. Yeah. And we did a 15, 20-minute presentation. I led these presentations most of the time. And I walked through 7 slides roughly. And this is what the end user experience is of our security tools. This is what a block screen looks like from our proxy. This is the color. This is the format. This is the scheme. If you see anything other than this, it's not us. Like showing them what a block would look like if we had a user experience piece. As we all know, a lot of us don't share the blocks with our users because it just causes panic. But if we did, because it was a proxy block, a firewall block, a WAF block, or whatever, we wanted to show them this is the skin we use, this is the branding we use, this is the verbiage we use, this is the links we have, this is the phone numbers. So that if someone did try to spoof it, they had an idea of that's not the right color, that's not the right format. And that's where training and awareness comes in. When we modified those, we had to let the help desk know. We gave new knowledge base articles, and then we would push it out to the org as needed. But that was the way we started doing that. It started mainly with just the security team. Then we brought the physical security in. We never got to the general population of the org, but at least allowed everyone in cyber and physical security to know what our tools looked like so they could be champions inside the org when, hey, I just got a block for this. Is it real or not? Yes, I just went through the SOC roadshow. This is a valid block. Yeah. If you need it, you can click on the link, or even better, just start chatting with the help desk and they can unlock it for you or help you get access to that file that was on the USB, etc.
That's pretty cool. Good way to get them to actually see it, right? Because like out of sight, out of mind. But if they're actually there engaged with the content, that's probably it, really. You know, I think we try to overcomplicate it so much with security. Like you said, curse of knowledge. Or like, oh, like we know all this stuff, and then we're just going to start talking about all this technical stuff, and people's eyes are going to glaze over. But bringing them into the war room directly and just kind of showing them the result and consequences and getting them to work with some of the technical team.
Yeah, and also
better way.
It's kind of fun for them because they're like, it's the man behind the curtain. It's like Oz. Like it's the great wisdom.
Exactly.
Show them I'm just another human.
Yeah.
To you, we're all powerful. No, I am still a person who can fall for any attack that you can fall for. Yeah. Because, to be honest, I'm looking at it more than you are, and I'm interacting with some of the stuff that you're not. And if I don't do it safely, I'm going to infect myself. I'm going to give away something because I think I'm just doing my job.
Yeah.
Which goes back to the other piece of lexicon. We have to have a common language. And you need to be bilingual. You need to be able to speak business and tech.
Mm-hmm. They are different languages. I totally agree with that. And we can get lost in that when we just keep speaking tech all the time, right? Like we kind of alienate ourselves. So that's pretty cool. Do you have any content to share about this workshop? Do you have anything to tease at this time? Yeah,
I can tease out some.
I want to see more. My interest is piqued. So let's see what you got here. Cool.
So I've got about a few slides prepared, but as I said, like my first exercise for you is to build a policy, your purpose statement, your scope, your responsibilities, your procedures, a glossary of terms, and then I want you to draft out a policy, thinking about how you would do this. Another thing, I mentioned the application of human-centric. Let's talk about a secure employee. Let's talk about a security champion. Let's talk about a phishing awareness program. Let's talk about the IR team. All of these are individuals that's inside your organization. If not, these are things you can build inside your organization. Mm-hmm. And then the last one, as I alluded to, preview for those who are watching. You get a sneak preview. Here's how you organize a tabletop. Give an objective. Give a scenario. Tell them what the play looks like, and then assign roles. I'm not going to slow down because you'll see the roles. And then you go for it. This is still in progress, but this is kind of what I want you to go with. And if I go back over here, I want to skip forward a couple slides. Mm-hmm. Right here, where's it at? Is your organization aware? 67% of employees break cybersecurity policy to get their job done.
That's terrible.
67%. And this was an interview by the Harvard Business Review, and they said that statistic came from in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, within a 2-week period. Holy.
In the last 2 weeks, 2/3 of their organization that was interviewed alluded that they had skipped
So what's the point?
to
Right?
break.
Like,
So
what's the point? If we're spending tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars and 67% will just bypass or break them within a 2-week period, clearly there's some imbalance with getting people to buy in and follow, right?
and it really comes back down to it, to drive it home. The purpose of this is just to build a security culture that applies to all aspects of your life. So I stated it when I first got on here, and I'll drive it a little more home. Security starts from the time you open your eyes until the time you close them. And so what that means, here's a prime example. I wake up 5:55, 5:30 in the morning. The first thing I may do is reach over and grab my phone. If an adversary just happens to know that I wake up early, they may send a push notification around that exact same time. Well, I'm groggy. I haven't got my first cup of coffee. I'm trying to open the news on my phone. And what did I just do? I accepted that prompt. First off, if your security firm is still using push notifications, probably should go to a challenge response where you put the number in.
Yeah.
But that's another one. The other thing too, 4th of July is coming up for us in the US. I hand my phone to my intern, aka my 10-year-old kid, and said, your grandmother's calling, can you talk to her? In the middle of that call, while he's FaceTiming with his grandmother, another notification comes in. My intern presses the button. I have no idea he just gave away access because someone had scraped my password from a pastebin site, put it in, got the challenge. My son, again, just clicked it because he's trying to talk to his grandmother. He just wants that notification off his screen. I lost control. I gave my phone to a kid. Well, it's my kid. That's something that all of us have done. Or you gave the tablet in the backseat of the car to a kid, and an email comes in, and they see the notification, they just click. They clicked on an email that could have started downloading something to that tablet.
Yeah.
So these are all things that you need to start from K or even sooner now, because 3-year-olds are actually accessing tablets more and more, all the way to the workforce. It starts from the time we wake up to the time we go to bed, and it doesn't discriminate against age, race, or gender.
It does not. No, it's kind of always this ever-increasing, persistent threat. Is it too hard, right? Like, or is it maybe too much of an expectation? Where does it fall on? Like, how do we start building this culture? Because you and I, we can understand it, we can teach it, we can train it. Students are here in the chat, but who is really the primary driver for this?
I think it's a personal choice. Again, I told you, most of us don't care about security. And to be honest, I still don't follow some of my own advice for convenience. I may share a password with someone. I may reuse a password on something that I know is a throwaway account. But by reusing that password, I may have inadvertently taught someone, hey, this is a solid password. So now they're using it. And they've taken my password and applied it somewhere else. Getting a little technical here. They grab the hash and it's not salted, and they see that me and you have the same hash. They know that you and I have the same password. Or if they know the salt of the password, they know that you and I still have it because they know what the salt looks like on the hash of the password. So it comes back to personal use and personal responsibility. Same as I said before. Do you know when to answer the phone, when to open your front door, when not to touch the stove, why you tie your shoe? It all comes back to making it personal and understanding that we can't be right 100% of the time. It's called a risk appetite, and a risk. What is your risk appetite? Are you willing to have a risk avoidance or risk acceptance? We risk accept tons all day long. I don't do a 360 every time I drive my car. I just assume my car's in working order. I make a risk decision every time I turn my key on because I didn't do a 360 to make sure nothing's leaked, my tires aren't flat, someone's not in the back seat of my car, someone's not laying behind my car. That's the risk 360 piece of personal life. Applies to security too. Like, did I look for the cables behind my computer to see if someone put a USB keylogger in over the weekend? Who crawls under their desk anymore to look to see if something's plugged in? Like,
it's usually they call IT for that, right? So.
Don't do that. And to be honest, if I did crawl under and I'm a finance person, would I know what I'm looking at? Would I know that there's been a USB keylogger plugged in?
Yeah.
By the janitorial staff overnight, who knows I'm going to open a sensitive piece of information the first time I get into work, and they're going to come back tonight, unplug it, and sell it, upload it, or just do something with it. But I don't want FOMO. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm not talking about FUD. I don't want a fear, uncertainty, and doubt issue.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
not what I'm trying to do here. I want you just to think and to slow down.
yeah.
Think and slow down. See something, say something, and know who you would say it to. I appreciate my loved ones calling me. Hey, I see this. To be honest, I had 2 scareware events the last week with the Microsoft scareware. It popped up in a new tab because of a website being compromised. Telling me it was a Defender alert. I got it twice this week. One for my son, one for my sister. I just told him what to do. It's scareware. It's not bad. The website you're on got a redirect and gave you scareware to pretend like you got a Defender alert.
Yeah.
But other times it's not scareware. It's an actual virus, and we need to tell them maybe Geek Squad's not the right time. Maybe you need to not turn off the laptop, because that's the first thing people turn off. Just unplug the Ethernet or disable your wireless. Leave the laptop on. There's so much forensics evidence it's gone if I turn it off. And they get scared and hit the power button. Don't do that. Just unplug the Ethernet cable or turn off your wireless. So teach them how to turn their wireless off.
Yeah, interesting. So, ultimate message of just trying to slow down. I mean, would you say that would be what you want students to really take away? Like students that are coming to Continuum Con that are going to check out this workshop, or even afterwards, because it's going to be persistent, you can always access it. Is that really the message? Or like, how would you maybe summarize? Like what are some of these key takeaways after they do your workshop? What do you want someone to do or leave with?
So I want a security evangelist in all of us. I want someone to come away with something new. I want you to say, I didn't think about that. You've already had a few nuggets, a few other people in chats. Like, I haven't thought about that. And once you think about it, now you're going to pull that string. So I just want you to pull the string and just to keep thinking about, okay, if I did this, what would go next? If I had this. So predetermined actions. What are you going to do when this happens? That's what I really want you to get. What is your first action going to be? Is it to call? Is it to unplug the Ethernet cable? Is it to report the email? Or just to sit on your hands and count to 10 or sing happy birthday? Like, build predetermined actions and build nuggets and knowledge that you can share freely with your loved ones and your colleagues.
Awesome. What about, I guess another question I have from the workshop itself, technical takeaways. So that's a good mentality perspective to kind of leave with. What would you say are some of the good technical security centric takeaways from someone who would do this workshop? What could they leave with?
Yeah. So I'm hoping that you learn not to be flippant, to take it seriously. So don't reuse. I don't specifically call it out. Use passphrases, use length over complexity. Maybe I'll put something in one of my questions. I'm still working through that. But ultimately is just be comfortable using what your technology is. Like, understand what you're using. Like, if you have questions, ask. Ask a friend, ask a colleague. We briefly talked about it. Ask generative AI. The only caveat there is don't ask it anything you don't already know the answer to. So it's my intern analogy I like to preach. Treat it as an intern. It's going to spit out an answer. So be able to discern what it tells you if it's right or wrong. So maybe not use generative AI for the first answer, but maybe validate. Hey, I got this email. What are things I should check? It's going to tell you things to check. Or I got this warning in my browser. What can I do? It'll give you some tips and tricks. Again, don't assume everything's right, but it's going to help you build a rapport. And you can say, I'm going to call my friend Fleetus. Is this valid steps? Then you notate it, you put it in your page file, and you remember it.
Good. I think that's really helpful. I can definitely see a lot of technical staff and even non-technical personnel be able to get to just kind of leave with something perspective or technical from this workshop, which is awesome. So we're going to be coming up to some Q&A soon as well too. So I got another question for you, Fleetus, but in the meantime, I'll chat. No, if you do have any questions that you want to ask Fleetus directly right now live on stream, please go and drop them in the chat. We can start highlighting them and bring him up for him to answer you directly live. It's a great time to get some insight to his experience, his GRC side of his training as well too. He's got a lot of AppSec training, managing security, a ton of experience to share. So please go ahead and get some questions ready. In the meantime, Fleetus, my question for you then would be, I think it sounds like you've expressed a lot of good sentiment and insight on the current trends of the human levels of risk when it comes to security, what we can do, some really good takeaways, slow down, technical training, etc. But what about where we're going? So coming up in the next couple of years, this landscape's changing dynamically. What do you think are some of the more emerging trends when it comes to human-centric security coming up?
So we've danced around a little bit. I've mentioned a few things. automation is going to happen more and more.
Yeah.
So your engineering teams, your developers are going to use what we call infrastructure as code. They're going to use pipelines. They're going to push things. So we have to get comfortable knowing that if we don't interview the developers, the business analysts from the start, we're going to push bad experiences, bad security, because we didn't take time to get the human side of it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a slide in my talk that literally gives the age-old analogy of, I paved a nice, beautiful brick road, but you cut through and build a dirt path, going back to my 67%. So automation is going to either help us or hurt us.
Mm-hmm.
And then generative AI. We've already seen it. Organizations are using it more and more for low-level tasks and knowledge-based tasks that can be repeatable. The humans need to audit what's being pushed into those large language models. What policies are pushed in? Back to my first challenge in my workshop. Build a policy that's human-centric, that thinks about how Anthony actually uses Salesforce, how Sally actually works in Jira before they push something. Second, we need strong GRC for those out there to put compliance behind what we're allowed to put in these tools. Because if you haven't taken time, data grounding isn't always assumed in AI. They may not ground your data when you put data into it. So it's not anonymized. It's going to come back to you and your organization or to the state in which you live in. There's different geo pieces that comes with generative AI. So your third-party risk management and supply chain are things that we care about. And our users should care about third-party risk at home too. Don't upload your EOB from your provider into ChatGPT. Don't put all of your medical records into BART or Claude. Don't. Even if you have a paid subscription, don't. Users may, because that's the new WebMD. I'm going to put my diagnosis from my doctor because it's large terms that I don't understand and let it tell me what the doctor, explain it to me.
Yeah.
Don't do that. But I think more and more people are going to trust the tool, AI, to be a doctor, a plumber, a practitioner that we've used WebMD and YouTube for up till now.
Interesting. Yeah, I fully agree. And I can see that. Even right now, we have temporary chats with these agents, and it says the data will be removed after a certain amount of time. I mean, do we really know that? Right? I think that's the biggest concern. And I see some questions popping up in chat now, which is great. So thank you, Fleetus, for covering those points. I hope everyone's paying attention in chat. I heard GRC a lot. You know, I'm a big proponent of that myself. All you people that may not be interested in the GRC side, I think it's about to be a really hot area. More than it already is. Cool. Okay, so a couple questions over here. CI. Fleetus, do you have a favorite domain that you worked in so far? GRC.
So are you asking vector? I can give it. I'll answer twice. I learned a lot in the regulated utility. It taught me about what high value assets look like. Finance taught me a little bit about that. If you're talking about security domains, we're talking about one right now. It's the human side of it. It's the governance and risk. Risk is something that I've spent a lot of my time on. For those who don't know, the definition of cybersecurity is just risk management. It really comes down to just risk management. We do the sec engineering, SecOps, pen testing, cyber defense, AppSec to control risk and to manage risk. So all the other domains, it's part of your CISSP or CC, is really driving home risk management.
Cool. Hope that answered your question, CI. And yes, we are just risk management professionals. Okay, another question over here. Hades, we were just talking about AI. Do you think AI is going to replace a lot of cybersecurity tasks that a pen tester would have now, Fleetus?
It depends.
The old answer. Yep.
So yes, because it's going to allow you to automate the vuln scanning, your recon. It's going to let you do recon and OSINT much, much quicker. I do not want an automated pen test because, as I did pre-banter, AI doesn't know how to ask sentiment. It doesn't know how to ask questions. It's not human. It doesn't know how to question a log, how to be inquisitive, how to probe. yet. That's why I say it depends. Yet. Eventually, yes, I see pen testers leveraging workflow management's automation tools to do pen test, but not to run the pen test. I mean, to run it, like to help build out and administer, but not to actually execute their scripts. I could be wrong. I've seen some. We've got it today. You got the continuous tools. You've got pen testing as a service that are running. They're glorified vulnerability managements to me. They're looking for known bad, which is fine. That's what your CVEs, your CVSS, your EPSS tells you. I should go try this. And then for MITRE fans, the T-scores tell me this is what I should go look at. So all of that, yes, I've worked with several students as a side job I have with the SANS Institute on their EDU side, where LLMs can take a CVE and go look for it. Like it can tell you what to go look for. It can write you a script to go scan your environment for that CVE. Like that's where it's going to help, but that's really not the pen tester. But the pen tester could use that script. Can I find CVE 2025 XXXX in this DC, this domain controller? Maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely some room for it to start kind of expanding. Cool. Hades, I hope that answered the question. Karina, kind of a multifaceted question side there.
So it's in there. I can add more to it. So the presentation kind of walks through, as you saw, some of the basic good human behavior. I've got some quiz questions that are going to drive it home. They may not directly come from it, but for those listening, I'm answering some of them in this. So if you listen to this, you'll get some of the answers. But I think at the end of the day, nothing is too basic. I want to remind everyone, again, there is no dumb question. The dumb question is the question not asked.
Cool. Yeah, interesting. Interesting question over there, Karina, for sure. Yeah. The basics of good human cybersecurity behavior. There's brilliance in the basics, as they say, for a reason. And thank you, Felitus, for considering adding some more content as well to the workshop. Got one other from Outlaw. Can AI social engineer?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Rachel Tobeck is a good person, and Perry Carpenter, if you want to see how this works. Both of them have used AI as part of their social engineering. Both of them participated in a DEF CON against AI, where AI was doing the social engineering. Like you were interacting with AI to see what they can do with mission and stuff like that. Check both of them out. There's others out there, but those are the two I'll recommend. I know both of them, and I know Perry pretty well. Perry's still doing a lot with deepfakes if you want to go learn about deepfake technology. So I think that's a lot there. Another one that's a good one is James McQuiggan. He's also an evangelist for Know Before. Does a good bit with this as well. The other thing, too, is it's good at writing social engineering prompts for you. It's going to give you scenarios better than I can probably do. We already know if I walk in with a clipboard and vest and I'm confident, you're not stopping me.
Yep.
If I'm confident and I have some kind of authority, or I'm in a business suit and a suitcase, maybe not as much or briefcase in 2025, you're generally not stopping a businessman from going somewhere. You just don't. You don't get in his way or her way. So yes and no. I think it can do it. It's not doing it by itself. It still needs prompt engineering, and it still needs to be trained. But the deepfake technologies, the voice clonings, it's here, and it's just getting better.
Yeah. Throw that on with some of that Google VO3 model that I saw. Insane.
The video prompts that are being made off of single line text that are 2 to 5 minutes long with the resolutions and high qualities would have taken a video production team weeks, if not months, to do, and it's being done in minutes or seconds.
Yep. And like you said, right, getting prompts from the model itself, right? Like, it's crazy where it's going. So yes, definitely I'll fully agree with Fleetus as well too, myself. Another question over here from CI as well too. So how many years did it take you to actually get in the field?
So you kind of heard it. I've been dabbling since the 90s. I physically got in the field in my undergrad doing IDS work because I got right place, right time. And then I did IT proper for about 7 years before I put cyber back in. So to break in, I was lucky. I graduated in the late 2000s. Let's leave it at that. The market was ready for IT folks. They weren't really directly hiring security. They were, but they weren't calling them security roles. So that's why I went into an IT role. IT security grew, and then it became cybersecurity. Then it went back to information security. Now I don't know what the proper term is. We use them all. So you can argue I've been in the field since 2008. because of the work I did in my undergrad. You could also say that I didn't really do cyber work until 2012 when I did the IAM work on the electronic document management team. But I was able to get in less than a year of trying because I used my undergrad, I used my network to find work while in
Yes.
school. So the networking piece is what I preach even
Huge.
today. For those who don't know, I'll be transparent. I'm in between work right now. I was hit with one of the reduction in forces back on May 1st.
Yeah.
So I am working on content like this, giving speaking engagements, doing some consulting until I find my next role. I've been out of work now 6 weeks, if you do the math. So it's been a blessing, to be honest. I'll side tangent here. This is the first time in 20 years that I haven't had to get up and either go to a job or do a job.
Yeah.
It was refreshing. It was hard that first week because
Yeah.
I had a routine, and not having a place to go, or when I walked away from this laptop because I kept it, they wiped it. I knew that I couldn't come back to it. They were going to wipe it when I left. And when I loaded it up the next time, it was going to be bricked until they gave me a code to wipe it, and then they gave it to me.
Yeah.
That was humbling to not be able to know when I came home from taking my interns, kids, to an event that I could just log back into this laptop.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenging time in the marketplace for sure. But Fleetus, you got a lot to offer. I'm sure enjoy this break, as you said, a blessing in disguise as well too. And it's good to see you continuing to still do things. You're building this workshop, and you also got your own channels as well too. You're doing a lot of work on, which is kind of what I was going to lead into next, because we're kind of coming up here to the end. We've covered a lot of ground. Good conversation, good intro to you and to the workshop as well too, and this human side. But what's kind of coming up next? Like what else are you cooking up aside from the workshop? Because I know that you're still working with people, you're still training,
Yeah.
teaching, mentoring.
So
what else do you want to plug?
I've got a couple mentees that have been doing one-on-one. I do mass mentorship, so that's what Anthony was listening. If you look at my daily food for thoughts, they come out every morning. I pick a topic, and I cover it in about 2 to 3 minutes. I drop it every morning, so Monday through Friday. What I've also been cooking up is a Saturday morning, 5 to 7 minute, what I'm calling a podcast versus a short, where I go through a topic a little bit deeper for about 5 to 7 minutes. I've been dropping those every Saturday morning. So the mentorship side, I've got a student who's trying to build a CTF-based club at his undergrad. So he's working through a charter right now, helping him do that so that he can look for CTFs and get students to do them all year round while they're in undergrad to help hone some of those skills. I am part of the ISSA chapter here in Charlotte, so I help go to those. I'm going to have to miss the meeting this month due to personal travel, but I stay involved in a lot of local meetups because I think networking is important. Even in person, networking is imperative. Even though we're doing a virtual con, I try to go to B-Sides events, ISSA, ISACA, DEF CON chapters if they're in person in the cities that I'm in and working in.
Yeah.
So that's another place I'm going. I'm working on something with Anthony. I just need to get it down to paper. We talked about pre-banter. I'd like to do some more GRC, AI, modules, trainings, and talks. So that's another one I'm working on in the background in my copious free time in between the projects I'm doing even without work. And then at the end of the day, I'm still learning. I'm still looking for things to tickle my fancy. I've been in leadership. I like leadership. I want to stay in leadership, but I'm also looking at advisory and potentially going back into IC architecture-based roles where I can do that. Because at the end of the day, as you probably can tell, I enjoy passing the torch. I want to do mentorship. What I love about mentorship is the reverse mentorship side of it. I learn something from every mentee because no matter if they've been in the field 1 day or 20 years, their diverse background adds value to the conversation. And that's what I enjoy about it. So every single one of you could teach me something on this call. And just like I could teach you something.
Absolutely. Fleetus has always been a natural teacher and student at the same time. You've always had a good balance of that since I've gotten to know you. So that's really good to hear, man. And good to see you keeping up with the community, engaging, training, mentoring. I think that's great. As you said, the networking piece is huge. This is still truly an industry where who you know really matters, and just making good, wholesome, decent, honest connections and everyone kind of working together because we need all the hands we can get. So thank you, Fleetus. I think we're coming up as well on time over here. And looks like Hades is going to be checking out your content more as well too in chat. It's awesome. So thank you for coming on to the stream today and getting I guess, more information about who you are and why you're doing what you're doing. This workshop sounds really good, man. I'm really interested inside of this, of seeing this thing actually go live. So that being said, if you haven't got your ticket yet to Continuum Con, please go ahead. That is where you're going to get access to Fleet's content directly. Awesome workshop, things you can take directly from it to the workplace and to your real life. You know, if you're looking to where to start with your security program and your policies, I think that's going to be a solid workshop of just where to start, where to actually hit the ground running on some low-hanging fruit areas to improve on your security posture, and again, just to overall improve your security perspective in your day-to-day life. So awesome stuff. Go ahead and grab that ticket when you can if you haven't already. And thank you again, Fleetus, for coming on today and sharing everything you're sharing.
Appreciate the opportunity, and as always, I end every talk I have it. Stay safe and stay secure out there.
Definitely. And thank you everyone in chat as well too for hanging out over here on this Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow. We have another stream with another workshop instructor as well too. So have a good rest of your Thursday, everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Thank you, everyone. Take care.